Hello, my name is Scott Fromey, and welcome to the Backwoodsman Institute. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all you for all the support that you've given us here recently on these videos, and I especially enjoy the comments and questions that I get from the young people out there that that are showing some interest in the outdoors and firing back with comments and questions and stuff like that. So that's what the Backwoodsman Institute is all about, is being a tool for you guys to use to build upon your skills in woodsmanship, in the outdoors, and in the long run just becoming better stewards of the natural resources that we have. So with that, I'd like to get into this next period of instruction. This next period of instruction is going to be I'm going to give you some tips on how to sight in a firearm or a bow with sights in a hunting situation. So, well, I know how to sight in a rifle on the range. There's a few things that need to be taken in consideration when you move from the rifle range to out into the woods in a hunting situation with a firearm. So one of the first things that you're going to have to grasp is the fact that when you shoot a firearm or archery equipment, when your line of sight is directly to the target. However, the path in which your projectile is traveling like this, it's arching down. I'll try and draw that out on the board here. Your line of sight to the target is from your eyeball straight to your target. Now, the path in which the projectile is going to take is more like this. This is the area which we have to take in consideration in a hunting situation. When you're firing on a fire range, you're shooting at known distances. Known being maybe 25 meters, 50 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters on. So in a hunting situation, it's not like that. So on a rifle range, you're only concerned of where that bullet strikes the target at that known distance. In a hunting situation, that target is anywhere, at unknown distances that you're not practiced on. So you're taking consideration the path on which your projectile is flying, what being a bullet, an arrow, or whatever. The second thing that you need to take in consideration is the size of the vitals of the game in which you're trying to harvest. Now, what would that be? Well, it's all different sizes. A deer's vitals maybe be this big, an elk could be a little bit bigger, a coyote would be smaller, a squirrel would be really small, but you need to take in consideration the vital size of the vitals. So for instructional purposes, let's just talk about deer hunting and the vitals of deer. Where is the vitals located on a deer? Okay, the vitals located on a deer are right in this area, right in here, right behind the shoulder area. Okay, so that's where we're going to take in the size of the vitals that are right there. What would the size of that be on a deer? Well, it's probably a little bit smaller than a paper plate, but for instructional purposes, we're going to use this paper plate. If this being the vitals, the size of the vitals of the deer, it shouldn't matter where the strike of the bullet or the strike of slug or whatever, where it hits. Dead center, down here, up here, it shouldn't really matter. Either one of those three shots should harvest a deer cleanly. So when I say size of the vitals, that's what I'm talking about. The size, this is size vitals right here. Now with that being said, if the vitals are the size of a paper plate, as far as deer are concerned, you have to have an imaginary tube that extends from you all the way to the deer. Now, if that bullet, that flight of that bullet has to stay within the boundaries of this paper plate. That's why I'm saying you're going to have to vision shooting in a tube and keeping that bullet in that tube. So the further my target is, the higher the arc of the bullet travel is. So let me just try and draw this out here on the board here so you might be able to understand a little better. I did my best to draw out a tube here with your eyeball and your line of sight down through the center of the tube. What you're going to try and do is determine a distance. Let's say we're going to go and sight in a muzzleloader, and maybe that you're going to try and determine what distance that bullet is going to travel in that tube, stays in a tube before it drops out of the tube. Once it drops out of the tube, you're beyond your effective range there, the way you got it sighted in at that point. You don't want to go any further because the arch of the bullet is going to have to travel outside the tube. So no matter, let's just say with your load that you got worked up in that muzzleloader, that this point right here where it drops out of the tube is 150 meters. Okay, so you got 150 meters. Now, you know that if you aim dead center of that vital area on that deer, that bullet traveling should kill that deer out to 150 meters.